Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Bruce at Bowski Studio. I'm out for another little plein air adventure today. Got the day off and thought I'd do a little fall painting. The colors here in Maine are pretty fantastic right now. So I'm going to the next town over. Along the lake where I kayak over in Oakland, there's some beautiful scenery, and this time of year should be wonderful. So we're going to go check that out and I'll get back to you. Okay, we're at the location here. Pretty awesome looking. There's some nice colors for some fall painting, so we're going to check it out and see what we can get into. Okay, here's my little setup right here. I got my little 8x10 Gorilla box, and I'm going to be using an 8x10 Ampersand panel. It's the Value series. I got it at, I think it was AC Moore. I'm going to try that out. It's only 1/8 inch thick, but I've been contemplating about buying pre-made panels instead of making my own, save a little time. The acrylic primed, so seen straight out right in that section there. Just going to try to do a little painting of some fall colors. Palette I will be using is transparent red oxide, titanium white, ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, Hansa Yellow Light, and some Napthol Red. Killing that white, little transparent red oxide, little turpentine. I got some liquid out for a medium once I get to that stage, but I am going to save the sky area as pure white so I don't have to fight the red oxide at a later time. Going to go with a low water line here. Right off the bat, this feels super slick. The acrylic primed here. Ampersand value panel. This should be interesting. Totally different surface than I'm used to, for sure. The good thing probably with this, if you wanted to wipe out and take back to white, you probably definitely can very easily. Right now I'm just going to be using the Utrecht Tuscan series brushes, size 2 round and size 6 flat, and get some drawing going here. I really want to get that brilliance in that red, and I'm going to try to achieve that with some transparent red oxide and some yellow, rather than some people might go straight for the cadmiums, but I'm going to try a little different, just defining some of the tree shapes here. And I'm going to test just for fun. I want to see just how much of a wipeout if I go back in with a little terp on my brush to wipe out this area here. Oh yeah, you can take that right back to white very easily. So let's go ahead and get some sky in. Simple little terp at this stage. Ultramarine blue. And there's just a touch of residue of the red oxide, which is kind of nice for neutralizing. Wow, this panel is really different. I'm going to get the paint more thick. And so that would be the danger with using this type of panel, would be going too thick too fast, and then when you have to do colors, other colors, you could end up with mud if you're not careful. Get some blue back in there, some white, trying to keep it thin yet have it stick to the surface without looking too scratchy, so to speak, especially using the flat stiff brushes. Softer brush will probably be a different effect. So I'm going to get the sky blocked in here and then we'll come back. Okay, this is definitely not a fan of this surface. A little too slick for me, but I'm going to go with it. We're going to start working on some trees. A little of the Hansa Yellow, ultramarine blue, touch of the oxide to neutralize a bit. And where there's going to be intense red, what's going to help define that is having some dark around it. And there just happens to be, and that's what attracted me to the scene, and sometimes you really study, The reason why it stands out sometimes is because it's surrounded by dark. And I'm not using any medium. I'm just trying to get the paint on there. I'm using bristle brushes. Now, to be fair, I should have taken an opportunity to try my softer round brushes, synthetics, to see how the paint was going to be applied to the panel. Definitely had a very obvious effect with the bristle brushes in terms of the visual appearance of the strokes, so that can be a little distracting from your image. Could have probably used some medium to help to stick better. So there are some options I could have tried out also. So to sum up this painting experience, trying out the Ampersand value series of their acrylic prime panels just didn't work out for me. The surface was too scratchy for me and that sort of thing. So I just continue with the 6x8. And this is why I carry all sizes of panels in my car, up to about 11x14. It's very handy to have this because I really wanted to get a little color study done today. And this time I decided to just take that transparent oxide and tone, a light tone as you can see, to give some warm background to the scene. And I decided on a little different composition than what I was working on before, because I have always liked those few rocks, the little rocky shoreline before when I painted here in the past. And it's a very cool spot. There's all kinds of opportunities here for some landscape paintings. And I'm just taking a little color of the transparent oxide and the ultramarine blue and creating a dark with that just to get some shadow tones in there. And striking in the horizon line. Now I'm working on doing a little bit in the field here, and momentarily you'll see the painting jump ahead in its completion quite a bit, and I apologize for that, but the weather clouds and the clouds were in and out, the sun, so I was trying to capture certain little color notes that I wanted to really make sure I had in there. But I will comment that on the background trees, it was nice having that dark green help set off the, make the foreground orangey tones a little brighter. And what I used to mix with the orange tones was some Hansa Yellow Light and the Napthol Red. And that really kind of gave that nice orangey tone. And if I wanted to knock it down a bit and neutralize it, I would use a little of the Ultramarine Blue. Now the water, for me, it is always a challenge because I always, in this particular case, with the weather conditions, it seemed very gray and boring. So I tried to liven it up a bit by introducing a little more chromatically stronger blue in the water. And I had to be careful, though, not to make it too light, because you'll see soon why. I want to get a little bit of sparkle going on in the water, or suggest it, I should say. Usually I want to render more when I'm out on location like this. And for me today, it was really just a exercise in capturing some of the fall color notes that I was observing. And it's really important to sometimes go out there just for that purpose. And also for the fact, of course, I started one painting that didn't work out. And sometimes what happens when you do that, your mental state was in that particular zone, and then you had to change gears. So give yourself a little break and don't beat yourself up too bad if that happens to you. Now changing over to just finishing up the trees in the background with a little more different tones, trying to vary some color a bit, because you do have in the fall colors some shifting tones within each tree, and it can be difficult to nuance those a bit, especially at this small scale, 6x8s. I used to do a lot of 6x8s, and it's really interesting now how small and tiny they feel to me. It's very interesting. They're very handy to use for that format, though, because you can get a little color study done very quickly. But typically, I like working on 8x10 and up now. And a comfortable zone is really like a 9x12 is like my small thing now on site. But part of it is time. If you go out in an area and it takes you a while, say, to travel there, with just doing some 6x8 little studies, you can do a lot of work at that area in one day and really achieve a lot and grow a lot and practice some brush work and that sort of thing. Now you can see me right now just knocking in a few tree limbs, give some structure to the trees a bit. Now what I'm working on is just taking some dark notes and putting them in certain locations to show some underside of the trees and to set off some tree edges and that kind of thing to add some interest. And I don't go into it too much. It's obviously going to intermix what paint you put on with the dark tone into the light tone, but you want that subtle transition to show some softness. And working on that shadow and that bush on the left, can't really see it at the camera angle, but it was has some luminosity to it a bit. I kind of like how that turned out. Now just strategically putting in some highlights now, the last little bit of icing on the cake, and trying to finish up this little color study. If I had a little more time, I would have taken a little smaller brush to put in some of those sparkles, but still has a really cool effect of giving that sense of light on the water. So I definitely want to get back out there. There's only last little moments of fall colors, so I'm hoping to do some more studies in the future. So using this Ampersand Ampersand panel, that's a value series that I got at AC Moore, thought I'd try it out, and I did not like that at all. The surface was too slick and the paint just seemed very scratchy looking putting it on there, and I think for now I'm going to stick with my panels that I prepare using my oil ground and other means. But I still had a great time. I had a little 6x8 done, as you saw also. Just a quick little color study, nothing super fancy, and actually came out better than I thought it was going to. Just had a great time here by the lake. Very quiet, no one's really around. There's, I think, 2 other people here, so pretty relaxing. So here's a look at the finished painting that I did at the lake. We're here in the studio, and I was only concerned with going out there for a color study, not for a very detailed painting, and this is what I arrived at. So you can see this planar adventure didn't go as planned, but that's what happens sometimes. The Ampersand panel that I experimented with I did not like, so I switched over to one of my own primed 6x8 panels and continued on with the video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're new to the channel, thank you for checking it out, and I invite you to subscribe. Be sure to go to your notifications and turn them on, the little bell icon, and that'll alert you as to when I post new videos. And for everyone else, thank you for continuing to watch my channel. Really appreciate your support. You can find me on Facebook at Habowski Studio and Instagram at Habowski Studio. Until the next video, bye.